with Stone that I said, you're on my list, guy, and here he is.
Joining us again this morning is attorney Stone Grissom.
Legal analyst Stone Grissom joins us live on this Monday morning.
We turn to legal analyst Stone Grissom.
Stone, does this audio and video essentially destroy Michael Jackson's credibility?
Well, Lyndon, it certainly casts a shadow over some of his credibility. However, this type of evidence isn't normally admissible in a court of law. What it does is it taints him a little bit in the public's eye, and the media gets to poke a little fun at him.
How did you deal with the issue of also arguing to the jury that he went to Europe for the first place to actually commit suicide or do himself in, if he ultimately had the intent to come back and turn himself in?
Well, he brought that document.
Was there any attempt by you and the defense to have that suppressed as fruits of an illegal search, or the fact that it wasn't a warrant, or exigent circumstances, or anything along those lines?
Yes, we went forward on a motion.
He can't get up there now and say, well, look, I didn't do it. I didn't mean for this man to die.
Yeah,
I mean, she has been found guilty, so the presumption of guilt is already there. A bad opening line to admit to being capable of murder right off the bat. The flip side of that, and I really I cringe taking the prosecution side.
Well, so you know, we argue both sides on my show.
What we do know, however, is that since his son's initial arrest, Bill Ferguson has been an unwavering advocate for his innocence. For now, Ryan's fate rests in the appellate process, a process that could take literally 2 years to complete. For ABC 17. But at this point, he probably can't be charged with any type of criminal activity involving filing of a false report.
Does the revelation of the mother's previous sexual allegations that were settled financially out of court throw any kind of doubt on these allegations?
And that is an excellent question, and that's going to be at the heart of the defense in this case. And it's the heart of the defense in any type of case where you have a previous allegation that's been settled, especially against someone who is wealthy, a celebrity, and has settled previously out of court with a former accuser. This is the type of thing that casts doubt on the accusation itself. And certainly if there is any type of evidence, any type of reasonable inference that can be made that either the child has been manipulated by his parent, because children are susceptible to that type of thing, or if the mother herself has any type of axe to grind or financial reason to go after Michael Jackson. Certainly that lends credence to the defense that he might actually be innocent. So you have to remember that always, every single accused in this country enjoys a presumption of innocence. So we have to start with the idea that Michael Jackson is innocent, and the state has to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubts. So certainly any type of defense that casts a shadow of a doubt on the accusation itself is relevant, and we're going to see that inside the courtroom.
He killed his own wife and threw the gun and the body right off the backyard into the bay.
That is the best piece of defense in this case, is that he's smart in one aspect but really stupid in the other aspect.
What do you think?
Well, you know, even his defense team now is purporting to try to bring forth some additional evidence that might speak to his innocence, or at least cast doubt on whether he's guilty of all these crimes. You know, the shell casing is a piece of direct evidence that goes to a gun that he at one time owned. He said that he didn't own it at that particular time the murder occurred, and he was a member of a gang.
It somehow does get bigger.
Oh yeah, and I think that's evidence of this here. I mean, he ultimately recants his statement, or at least clarifies it in some way. And I think that it would be a mistake for the defense to go after him and try to paint him as some type of liar. I mean, this is a person who is trying to come forward and trying to tell the truth. And he is giving, I mean, the best piece of evidence for the prosecution is the fact that the defendant is seeing dangling his wife over the ledge, holding her ankles, and then ultimately lets go for whatever reason.
From right here, you could not see the victim in the parking lot. So when Chuck tells a story that they saw the victim in the parking lot and they decide to attack him, that could not be possible.
Bill Ferguson simply does not believe Chuck Erickson's story. The prosecution needed Erickson's accomplice testimony to win its case.
Pervasive issues was the idea that here you've got somebody saying, I did this horrible thing. I've wrestled with it for a long time. I feel terrible about it, and I am going to, take the consequences. That message is very powerful.
Erickson's confession is just one of the many problems Ferguson has with the verdict against his son. He thinks police should have investigated other potential suspects in the case.
He's the last man to see Mr. High-Holt alive. And I think in Detective School 101, the first thing you do is you investigate the last person to see him alive.
He claims the case was a rush to judgment because the police lacked real leads.
There's all kinds of blood evidence, there's all kinds of DNA, and the police cannot solve the crime. And I think they felt a tremendous amount of pressure.
And that the prosecution may have been too eager to close the investigation and gain a conviction rather than finding the real killer.
He knows that Ryan's innocent. I think he knows Chuck's innocent, and he pursued it.
Mr. Ferguson certainly has a right to his opinion. I would, however, draw the line on being told what I think, because I know what I think, and that's that his son committed this crime. And I would not have prosecuted him if I thought otherwise.
But Ferguson's criticism does not stop with the police and prosecution. He blames the defense for making several key mistakes as well.
They should have been more familiar with the crime scene, I believe. I don't think they were. They should have deposed Michael Boyd, which they never did.
In fact, he's begun his own private investigation to continue what he calls the search for High-Holt's true killer.
We still have an investigator that's pursuing leads. We've got 3 or 4, well, I'd say 3 real strong leads that we're following up on right now.
The Ferguson family has also started a website listing what they see as inconsistencies between the testimony at trial and the evidence.
There's a narrative that's about 10 or 12 pages, and it tells a sequence of events.
With more than 8,600 hits to date, Bill Ferguson says his ultimate goal with the website is to free his son by discrediting Erickson. Police admit there were inconsistencies, a point they conceded and explained at the trial.
You take a fella that has been doing drugs and drinking alcohol, and then who goes out and kills someone, which is not a routine action on their part. I would totally suspect that they wouldn't remember exactly what they did.
Mr. Erickson, you know, I'm sure that anybody can interpret testimony as they wish, but he came across as a credible, fallible human being. And the defense was never able to give the jury a credible reason for why he would engage in a complete fabrication.
Still, Ferguson remains unconvinced. In fact, he believes Erickson became trapped in his own lies and had no choice but to confess.
I think that he made a conscious decision to be a part of the murder as a lesser of two outcomes. And he thought, I don't think I can get myself out of this situation, so I need to make myself believe that I did commit this murder.
In addition to being an advocate for his son's innocence, Bill Ferguson is also a grieving father and will never see his son as a murderer.
We're very close, always been close, always will be close. And the only thing that happens in our relationship is we just get stronger and closer.
Despite whatever closure the verdict has brought to this community, we'll probably never know every detail of what happened to Kent High-Holt on November 1st, 2001. What we do know, however, is that since his son's initial arrest, Bill Ferguson has been an unwavering advocate for his innocence. For now, Ryan's fate rests in the appellate process, a process that could take literally 2 years to complete. For ABC 17 in Columbia, I'm Stone Grissom.